2 billion. That's not the number of people living in a country. It's not the number of smartphones sold. It's the number of Coca-Cola drinks consumed every single day, more than almost any product in human history. But here's the strange part. It was never supposed to become a soft drink. It has survived world wars, economic collapses, scientific revolutions, countless competitors, and even one of the biggest marketing disasters ever created. Somehow, Coca-Cola always came back stronger. Today, Coca-Cola is sold in over 200 countries and territories. Its logo is recognized by billions of people. Some researchers have even suggested it's among the world's most recognized brands. But none of this started with billion-dollar marketing. It started with failure. A man running out of time. Atlanta. The Civil War had ended years earlier. America was rebuilding. Businesses were appearing everywhere. Medicines promised miracle cures. Pharmacies weren't just places to buy prescriptions. They were gathering places. People came to socialize, to read newspapers, to try new drinks, and inside one of those pharmacies, a pharmacist named John Stith Pemberton was desperately searching for something that could save his future. Pemberton wasn't a wealthy businessman. He wasn't a famous inventor. He wasn't trying to build a global empire. In fact, his life was falling apart. Years earlier, during the American Civil War, he had been seriously wounded. To manage the pain, doctors prescribed morphine. Like thousands of veterans, he became addicted, desperate to escape that addiction. He began experimenting with medicinal syrups. He hoped to create something that people would enjoy, without relying on stronger drugs. Then, one afternoon in May 1886, everything changed. Pemberton mixed together a caramel-colored syrup, sugar, plant extracts, flavorings, and a closely guarded recipe that would eventually become one of the world's greatest trade secrets. The syrup was taken across the street, mixed with carbonated water, and served for 5 cents. Nobody applauded. Nobody celebrated. It was simply another drink on another ordinary day, or so it seemed. During its first year, Coca-Cola sold only a handful of glasses each day. By modern standards, it looked like a complete failure. Pemberton never witnessed the company become successful. Just 2 years later, he died, poor, sick, almost forgotten. The man who invented one of history's greatest brands never lived long enough to see what it would become. But another man was watching quietly, patiently, and he believed this little drink could become something far bigger than anyone imagined. When John Pemberton died in 1888, Coca-Cola wasn't a success story. It wasn't even a successful business. It was a recipe passed between investors with no clear future. But then, one man saw something everyone else had missed. His name? Asa Candler, a pharmacist, but more importantly, a salesman. While others saw a sweet syrup, Candler saw a brand, and brands could outlive their creators. Over several years, Candler quietly bought the rights to Coca-Cola, piece by piece, until he controlled almost everything. The recipe, the name, the future. It would become one of the greatest business investments in American history. But Candler understood something far more valuable than the recipe itself. People don't buy products. They buy habits, they buy memories, they buy feelings. Long before psychology became a science, Asa Candler was already using it. Instead of waiting for customers, he gave Coca-Cola away, free coupons, free samples, calendars, posters, store signs, clocks, anything that kept the Coca-Cola name in people's minds. It sounds obvious today. Back then, it was revolutionary. Most businesses sold products. Asa Candler sold familiarity. Every poster, Every painted wall, every calendar whispered the same message. Remember, Coca-Cola. And slowly, something remarkable happened. Coca-Cola stopped being a local drink. It became part of everyday American life. Families ordered it. Travelers looked for it. Shop owners proudly displayed it. Not because they were told to, but because customers started asking for it by name. Looking back, it's easy to think Coca-Cola's success was inevitable. It wasn't. There were hundreds of tonics, hundreds of soft drinks, hundreds of businesses fighting for attention. Most disappeared. Coca-Cola didn't win because it was the first. It won because someone understood that a brand isn't just a product. It's a promise people choose to remember. And that promise was about to travel far beyond Atlanta. By the turn of the 20th century, Coca-Cola had a new problem. People loved the drink, but only if they lived near a soda fountain. That meant millions of Americans had never tasted it. The next challenge wasn't making Coca-Cola. It was delivering it. In 1899, two lawyers walked into Asa Candler's office with an idea. What if Coca-Cola could be bottled and sold everywhere? Candler wasn't interested. He believed people would always drink Coca-Cola fresh from soda fountains. So he sold the bottling rights for just $1. $1. It would become one of the greatest bargains in business history. Almost overnight, bottling plants began appearing across America. Small towns, big cities, railroad hubs, one bottle at a time. Coca-Cola started spreading across the country. But success brought a new problem. Imitators everywhere. Coca-Nola, Coca-Cola. Dozens of companies copied the name, the color, even the advertisements. Customers couldn't always tell the difference. Coca-Cola needed something that couldn't be copied, something people could recognize, even in the dark, even if it shattered into pieces. So, in 1915, designers created one of history's most recognizable packages, the contour bottle. It wasn't just beautiful, it was unforgettable. Hold it for 1 second, and you knew exactly what it was. Long before smartphones, long before television, Coca-Cola had mastered something companies still chase today: instant recognition. By the 1920s, Coca-Cola was no longer simply a drink. It had become an American symbol. But the world was about to change forever. And somehow, Coca-Cola would march alongside history itself. By the early 1940s, the world was at war. Entire cities were reduced to rubble. Millions of families were torn apart. Factories that once produced everyday goods now built weapons. Yet, amid all the uncertainty, Coca-Cola faced a question no one expected. What happens to a soft drink? During a world war, Coca-Cola's president, Robert Woodruff, made a promise. Every American in uniform, wherever they were, should be able to buy a bottle of Coca-Cola for just 5 cents. No matter what it cost the company, it wasn't just a business decision. It was a statement. Coca-Cola would go wherever American soldiers went. That promise sounded simple. In reality, it was almost impossible. Glass bottles, sugar, machinery-clean water, everything was in short supply. Yet somehow, Coca-Cola kept finding a way to keep that promise. Coca-Cola built bottling plants near military bases. Across Europe, North Africa, the Pacific, more than 60 new bottling facilities, operating in some of the most dangerous places on Earth. They weren't there to win battles. They were there to deliver a familiar taste of home. For thousands of young soldiers, one bottle of Coca-Cola meant, if only for a moment, home wasn't so far away. When the war finally ended, most companies packed up and went home. Coca-Cola didn't. Those bottling plants stayed. The roads stayed. The distribution networks stayed. Suddenly, Coca-Cola wasn't entering new countries. It was already there. War had unintentionally built the foundation for one of history's greatest global businesses. Imagine opening a bottle of Coca-Cola in Paris, Tokyo, Cairo, or Sao Paulo. Chances are it didn't arrive there by accident. It arrived because decades earlier, a company decided that a simple bottle could represent something larger than a drink: familiarity, comfort, home. And with that, Coca-Cola became something no advertising campaign alone could have created: a global symbol. History isn't just about wars, inventions, or billion-dollar companies. Sometimes it's about a simple bottle that quietly changed the world. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this documentary and want to discover how Elon Musk became the world's first trillionaire, click the video on your left. Or if you're curious about the incredible rise and heartbreaking fall of Toys R Us, the video on your right is waiting for you. And if you enjoy cinematic documentaries that uncover the stories behind the world's biggest brands, businesses, and innovators, subscribe to Billion Dollar Stories. Until next time, keep questioning the stories everyone thinks they already know.